In this example, I've modified the training exercise to showcase a slightly different application for accounting for radiation absorption. Now, we've all felt the oppressive heat of summer in a locked car after it's been in the sun. The same challenge arises in offices and can impact the comfort of workers. So we've got three scenarios to demonstrate. We've got the office room here where the outside air temperature is 30 degrees, but there's no solar radiation. And then we've got a full midday summer's sun blasting into the office without any radiation absorption in the windows. And then we've got a final one where we actually are absorbing radiation through the glass in the windows. So let's start with the no radiation example. Now we have taken a simplification with the solar settings. We're taking a snapshot at noon midday, so it's not a transient analysis, which you should do if you want a more in-depth analysis as the sun passes over the sky. Different areas are going to heat up and cool down accordingly. The setup is not very different. We have an inlet volume flow rate here. So you can see it's 200 cubic feet per minute. We've got our heat sources with the human and the monitor. And then we've just got a few goals. And we've specified that all the air is leaving through the door. And then I've specified that the surrounding structure of the building is at 20 degrees and the exterior faces are getting heated up at 30. And we do have a fluid volume out here at 30 degrees, which is this one here. So let's take a look at the results. So let's start by looking at temperature. So we can see here, when we look outside, there's our 30 degrees, but inside it's pretty uniform, not too much going on. A little bit of variation between 15, 22 degrees. Always remember that you've got the great ability to probe. You can just move the mouse around and see what it is, or you can actually dynamically store those values and they'll stay on the screen. So you can see here the temperature range is about 5 degrees centigrade. Let's just delete all those. All right. And of course, with flow simulation, it's really great the way you can just animate through the whole structure. As you can see here, obviously the cool area. And look at that, I can even probe dynamically while it's moving. Pretty constant 30 degrees out there. See, it's a bit cooler down over the vent. Now, temperature is one thing, but also comfort parameters are very important. So we've got two ways of looking at comfort. Well, it's more than two, but mainly we're going to focus on the key ones, which is predicted mean vote, where basically you want to be around 0 as much as possible to be comfortable. If it gets up towards 3 or down to -3, then it's a little bit too cool. Let's just add some transparency too. Alright, so you can see at the bottom here, it's probably getting a little bit cool. That's probably drafty because of the air coming down. But overall, pretty comfortable environment. A little bit warm outside, but not too bad. Don't have any wind outside, and it's not, obviously you don't have the radiation, so it's not seeing any of that. We can also convey that as a percentage of the population and who would be happy. So again, you can see here, down towards the bottom, 60-70% of the population wouldn't be happy with the air down there, so that's why you don't lie on the floor under a vent. But overall, pretty reasonable around our user here when we don't have the radiation happening. Other great tools as always, we have our surface plots for showing temperatures. So you can see here, it does get a little warm up to 40 degrees, well, not quite 40 degrees, but 30. A bit higher than 30 on the window, just because of the exterior temperature. But one of my favorite ones is isosurfaces. And so what we've done here is we've plotted different levels of the predicted mean vote. So you can see here, overall, the majority is showing green around 0. So you see it, that's a surface where our comfort level is close to 0, which is right around our person there. And you can see, if you look inside, you get the cooler areas, pockets here, and obviously there's just a couple little warmer areas right around the back of the person next to the chair. But nothing really too bad. And of course, we also have our flow trajectories. So we can look at the air temperature, and again, you can see, look at that to play while we're looking at it. So you can see the air is really coming straight down and then recirculating around. We're getting a bit of mixing going on in there around the person, so not too bad, but they're not really getting impacted too much by the airflow directly, which, you know, from a draft perspective, you've got to think about. And speaking of draft, we can actually look at the draft. So here's, for example, a draft temperature, and you don't want it to be too cold or too warm. And again, we can either animate it or just dynamically drag it through. And you can see here again, not much really going on around the person, which is great. All right, let's take a look now at a situation where we have solar radiation, but without any shielding. So let's take a look at the temperature very quickly. And I've limited these to show a constant range so we can compare. So you can see we're getting the portion of the shelving here is heated up significantly, as well as the top of the ceiling. And the front portion of our humans getting a fair bit of heat there as well. Don't know whether I'd like to be that person. And of course, playing the animation, we can see how that varies. There's our cool vents. And you can see it's heating up around the top surface there and convecting up, which is why we're getting also a warm spot up there. So it doesn't look like it's going to be a nice environment necessarily. Again, to confirm that, we can look at predicted mean vote or percentage dissatisfied. So we can see here the whole area in front of the window and in front of the person is getting a bit uncomfortable. And percentage dissatisfied, yeah, that's pretty much everyone's not going to enjoy being there. Again, this is slightly conservative because we're assuming it's a steady state at midday in the middle of summer, so it is going to show things a little slightly exaggerated. But again, the isosurface gives us a clear delineation, so you can see here this volume around the window is showing a serious area that's going to be uncomfortable to be in. And then as we move further back, we get more towards our comfort zone. So back here is where we would prefer to be. So that's a nice way of looking into the results. And finally, when we look at having solar radiation, but then we've got the windows which can absorb that radiation, or at least a portion of it, then we can get a much more meaningful result. So you can see here again, we don't get those same hotspots we did with the solar radiation blasting straight through. So you can see a nice cool vent area. But really, overall, the air temperature is only getting up, you know, just up to 30 at the top, where you get a bit of convection circulation going on. And again, the surface of the desk here is showing a bit of warmth, and you would expect that as the sun's rays beat down on it. If we take a look at the percentage dissatisfied, you can see here it's a little warm right on his face, but the air in front isn't anywhere near as bad. So a significant improvement in improving the comfort level by having something to absorb the sun's rays. Take a quick look at the isosurfaces, and again you'll see that red area is significantly reduced. It's almost captured right around the window, and our green area is now getting more towards where our person is located. If you want a good way to compare these results is let's do the percentage dissatisfied. Then we switch back to with solar radiation and do the same result. And then we can compare the two fairly quickly. So you can see nice improvement there. Now one other thing I forgot to show here was surface plots. So if we have a look on the surface, and what I'll do is I'll allow this to go to the full range of temperature. And you can see that the surface here actually does heat up, but the window frame does actually give a bit of shading preference. So you can see, according to this, it's about 136 there, and we get our peak of 180 where the sun would hit. So there is a lot of benefit there by being in the shadow. So just something else to keep in mind. So anyway, another great little examples to help you show the benefits of the HVAC module with that solar radiation absorption and how we can really use that in the HVAC environment, and combining it with our comfort parameters, which are very valuable for helping us understand whether the environment's going to be comfortable for people to work in.